Welcome to Speak English for You.
Hello and welcome back to Speak English for You. I'm your host, and I am so incredibly happy you're joining us again. Today's episode is a deep dive into a really fascinating and maybe slightly terrifying universal human experience. We're talking about the sensation that time is just, well, accelerating as we get older.
Yeah, it's something I think absolutely every adult wrestles with at some point.
Oh, totally. I mean, I want you listening right now to just think back to your childhood for a second. Do you remember how summer vacation felt like this endless, massive expanse of time? And waiting for your birthday was just agonizingly slow.
Right, it felt like an actual eternity.
Exactly. But then you contrast that with your adult life, and, it feels like you blink and a week is just gone. Suddenly it's March, and then instantly it's December. It feels like someone accidentally sat on the fast-forward button of life, like a runaway remote control.
That is a perfect analogy, the runaway remote. But the first core truth we have to establish for this deep dive is to reassure you that the actual mechanics of time, like the physical ticking of the clock, haven't changed at all.
Right, a second is still a second.
Exactly. The Earth's rotation, the orbit around the sun, all of that is entirely constant. So time isn't actually speeding up, it's your perception that's changing.
Yeah.
You are the variable.
Which is a little jarring to realize. So our mission today is to figure out the psychological and mathematical reasons behind this, right? Like, we want to figure out how to hit pause, or at least play at a normal speed.
Precisely. And to understand that shift in perspective, we actually have to start by looking at the mathematics of memory. Since the physical clock is constant, we have to look at the mathematical relationship between time and human age.
Okay, so we're starting with fractions. I love this part.
Yeah, it's called the proportionality theory. So think about when you were a 5-year-old child. A single year represented a massive 20% or, 1/5 of your entire existence.
Right, because you've only been around for 5 years, so 1 year is huge.
Exactly. But then fast forward to being 50 years old. At 50, one single year is a mere 2% or 1/50th of your life.
Oh, wow. 2%. That puts it into perspective.
It really does. The brain instinctively measures any new passage of time against the total baseline of how long we have already lived.
So the more years we accumulate, mathematically speaking, the smaller and, less significant each new year feels compared to the whole.
That's it, exactly. It's logarithmic, not linear.
I always think about this using a financial analogy like a bank account. Because if you only have $10 to your name and someone hands you a $1 bill, that feels like a massive windfall.
Oh, absolutely. It's 10% of your total wealth.
Yeah. But if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank and you add a single dollar, it barely even registers on your radar. The dollar is the same, but the baseline makes it feel invisible.
That is a fantastic way to look at it. We are constantly accumulating this time wealth, so each new dollar or day feels less impactful.
But, cold fractions don't explain everything, do they? Because if it were purely mathematical, we wouldn't have those random adult days that just drag on endlessly, like sitting in a waiting room or a terribly boring meeting.
Yeah, the math alone definitely feels incomplete there. If it was just fractions, every single day would slip by at the exact same fast speed. To truly understand this vanishing time, we have to move from the math to neuroscience.
Ooh, okay. The brain's internal recording system. Let's get into that.
Right. So we have to look at the novelty factor, specifically how the brain fundamentally decides what to record and what to delete. Think back to those childhood firsts you mentioned earlier.
Like the first day of school or first bike ride, right?
Exactly. Or even making your very first friend. Because absolutely everything is a new experience. Your brain is paying incredibly close attention. It doesn't know what's safe or dangerous yet.
So it's basically recording everything in, full 4K resolution.
Yes. It floods your system with these chemical fixatives like dopamine and adrenaline, and it deeply records the data. And when you look back, those eras feel so dense and full because there are so many intricate memories anchored there.
That makes so much sense. But then, as adults, we get stuck in these routines. You wake up, you go to work, you eat the same lunch, you sleep, and you just repeat the exact same cycle.
And because nothing is new in that cycle, the brain realizes it doesn't need to pay attention. The brain is an energy-hungry organ, so it goes into power-saving mode. It literally stops actively recording.
Wow. It stops recording. That is exactly what happens with commuter amnesia.
Oh, yeah. That's the classic example.
Right. For anyone listening, have you ever driven home from work for 30 minutes and you pull into your driveway and you have absolutely no memory of the trip?
It's terrifying, honestly.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because your route is so heavily routine, your conscious mind just checks out. But it makes me wonder, is establishing a comfortable routine actually the enemy of experiencing a long life?
Well, that's a really interesting question. To see if that's true, we can look at a specific scenario where adults successfully, even if it's just temporarily, hack this brain mechanism,
Yeah.
the annual vacation.
Ah, the vacation paradox. I love this concept.
It's the ultimate proof of the novelty concept. Think about the perception of a week on vacation compared to a standard work week of the exact same length.
Oh, a week on vacation feels like a month, especially if you go somewhere totally foreign.
Exactly. Vacations stretch time out because they are just flooded with novelty. You've got new places, new foods, new faces to navigate. All of this novelty forces your sleeping brain to wake up and actually pay attention.
It turns the 4K cameras back on because it doesn't have a predictive model for this new setting.
Precisely. But conversely, your work weeks just vanish instantly because you are operating on what we call autopilot.
Wait, I have to push back a little bit here. We can't all just be on a permanent 365-day vacation, right? We have jobs, we have bills, we have kids who need routines.
Oh, absolutely. And autopilot isn't inherently evil. It's actually a biological efficiency mechanism. It saves your brain energy by not processing completely familiar data.
So we need it to survive without getting exhausted by 9 a.m.
Right. But the tragic cost of this mental efficiency is the perceived loss of our own lifespan. So the question becomes, how do we find a balance?
Yeah, if we're stuck at our desks and in our routines, how do we manually wake the brain up without, burning out or running away to a tropical island?
So we have to find practical ways to inject that vacation novelty into a mundane Tuesday. We have to manually slow down our perception of time. And the good news is, it doesn't require grand adventures.
You just need to break the routine a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Step off the autopilot.
Exactly. The sources give some really great, actionable solutions. Simple tactics, like taking a completely different street to work.
Which forces you to actually look at the road and the signs, so you're building a new memory file.
Yes. Or trying a completely new food. That introduces novel sensory input. Even striking up a genuine conversation with a stranger.
Ooh, I like that one. Because a stranger is totally unpredictable. You can't just run your usual conversational script.
You really can't. Your brain has to monitor their expressions and adapt in real time, which spikes those chemical fixatives we talked about. And another great tactic is learning something that is useless but fun.
Okay, I am so guilty of not doing this. Because as adults, we usually only learn things for productivity, like a new software for work.
Right, which just feels like more stressful routine.
So learning something useless is pure novelty.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm committing to this right now.
Hmm.
I am going to learn a really basic, silly coin vanish trick this week. Just a little sleight of hand thing.
That is a perfect example.
Yeah, not because I want to be a magician, but because tricking my hands into doing something weird will force my brain to pay attention. It's basically a time travel hack to make my weekend feel twice as long.
It is a deliberate hack. You're introducing artificial friction, and we can also apply this to the power of small moments.
Oh, you mean like hyper-focused attention?
Exactly. We need to urge ourselves to just notice the present. Notice the way the light looks in your room at 3 o'clock, or really listen to the sound of the rain against the window, or truly taste the texture of your food.
I love that so much. Those small moments really are our lives.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't just disappear simply because no one was actively watching.
Beautifully said. We have to be active witnesses to our own lives.
Well, let's pull all of this together and summarize this deep dive for everyone listening. The reality is, time will inevitably keep passing, and you cannot physically stop the clock.
And mathematically speaking, the baseline of your age will keep growing, so years will proportionally get smaller.
Right. But the core message here is that you don't have to let your perception of time accelerate. By understanding the math, rejecting the heavy autopilot of your daily routines, and intentionally seeking out those small bursts of novelty, you can actually reclaim your timeline.
You really can. You can stretch the psychological experience of your week and actually be here for your own life.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to leave you listening with a final, slightly provocative thought that builds on what we've learned today. We know that simply adding a small novelty, like going to a new coffee shop or learning a coin trick, stretches out our perception of the week.
Because of that mild friction.
Right, exactly. But what happens to our timeline if we intentionally do things that absolutely terrify us? Like if we step completely outside of our comfort zone to face a major fear.
Oh, wow. From a neurological standpoint, the influx of adrenaline from true fear would create a massive memory anchor.
Right. So does doing something terrifying like changing careers completely, or moving to a new city where you know no one, or even doing stand-up comedy, does that not just slow time down, but actually make us feel like we've lived multiple distinct lifetimes within a single human lifespan?
It really reframes fear, doesn't it? It makes fear the ultimate psychological preservative.
It totally does. It's something really interesting for you to consider the next time you are faced with a daunting new opportunity and your instinct is to just hide in your comfortable routine.
Are you choosing comfort, or are you accidentally fast-forwarding your life?
Exactly. Such a profound thought. Well, that brings us to the end of today's deep dive. Here is your homework for today. This knowledge is only valuable if you apply it. So go out and do one new thing today. Take a different walk, talk to someone new, try a new flavor of tea. Just do one small thing to wake up your brain.
Break the routine today.
Thank you so much for joining us and listening to this deep dive. It is always a pleasure to learn alongside you. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode.
Yes, thank you for listening.
Until then, keep speaking English for you.